So, good afternoon, students. I'm very happy to welcome you to the discussion on the grammar test that you attempted last week. So, we'll begin with I had given you 10 questions, and each one had an error which you had to correct. As I told you in the previous class, when you do error correction, which is an important topic in your syllabus, what you have to do is, first of all, identify the error. What is the mistake is to be highlighted, and then rewrite the sentence according to the correct rules of grammar. So these two steps are involved in this topic. Right, so we begin with the first question. I can tell you that we will not be able to do the 10 questions because each question you will realize needs a lot of discussion, because there's a lot that we will be talking about with regard to each one of the rules that we will be discussing during the course of this hour. So let's begin with the first one. The first question that I gave you was, the program are being held now. Obviously, it is an erratic sentence, or it is a sentence that has a mistake in it. And what is wrong with it? The fact is that you cannot have program and are going together. When you write about this error, as I told you in the previous class, you need to be very specific about it, and you need to use the correct terminology. So the rule that is violated in this sentence is the rule of concord. Concord is nothing but agreement, something that blends well together, two things being in agreement with each other. Adana concord in the word in the artham, something that is harmonious, something that blends well, something that goes well together, and so on. In grammar, we use the word concord basically to talk about subject verb agreement in a sentence. English grammar la subject verb agreement, and the basic rule goes like this: a singular subject should take a singular verb, and a plural subject takes a plural verb. For example, we may say, birds fly in the sky. A bird is flying in the sky. In the second sentence, you have a singular subject, a bird. A single bird, therefore, the verb should be is. A bird is flying in the sky. Whereas in the earlier sentence, birds are flying in the sky. When the number in the subject goes up, when it moves to a plural, singular in the plural lo to pona samayatha, the verb should also change and it becomes birds are. So this is a basic rule of concord in grammar, and in this sentence the concord has been violated, or there is no concord. That is the mistake. So you need to highlight that in this sentence there is no subject verb agreement, or in this verb sentence there is no concord. And then you rewrite the sentence. It may be rewritten either as, the program is being held now, where you have just changed the verb. Now this is ideally the right way in which you should change it. Ningalku thannittulla nouns, as far as possible, do not change it, because nouns are important there. It is better to change the verb, but there may be situations in which you may have to change the noun itself, as I have done in the second sentence. If it is a plural noun, the programs are being held now. Subject in a plural aaki kazhinjal, naturally the verb are may be retained. So you may rewrite it in either of these ways. The program is being held now, or the programs are being held now. As far as possible, try to retain the meaning or the sense that is conveyed in the given sentence. So ideally it should be, the program is being held now. So this is basically the rule. But to understand this better, the subject verb agreement എന്നൊക്കെ പറയുന്ന സമയത്ത്, naturally you have to begin with those terms. What is the subject, what is the verb, and so on. Now we begin with the basic sentence structure of English. English has the basic structure of SVO, subject, verb, object. That is the basic grammatical sentence structure. You may say, I saw a cat. I is the subject, saw, the action word, is the verb. And saw what? A cat. So a cat is the object. So this is the basic sentence structure. Subject, verb, object. It is said, a sentence, a basic sentence like this can be seen as constituted of two parts, subject and predicate. അതായത് a basic sentence like this will give you some information about something. And the subject is that which the sentence is about. ഈ സെൻറ്റൻസ് എന്തിനെക്കുറിച്ചാണോ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇൻഫർമേഷൻ തരുന്നത്, that is the subject. So, when I say birds fly in the sky, this sentence gives you information about the birds which are flying in the sky. So, the birds would be the subject in this sentence. And the easiest way to find out the subject in a sentence is you need to ask who or what before the verb to get the subject. അപ്പം ഇപ്പോൾ തന്നിട്ടുള്ള സെൻറ്റൻസിൽ what flies in the sky or what is flying in the sky? Birds. So that is the answer. That is the subject. So that is the way in which you find out the subject of a sentence. The subject is what gives you or the sentence gives you information about the subject. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് whatever information is being given about the subject is what is known as the predicate. So birds, subject ആണ്. What do we learn about the birds? That they fly in the sky. So that whole part, fly in the sky, that entire part is the predicate of the sentence. So subject plus predicate. The cat is the subject, is on the mat is the predicate. These mountain ranges, അതാണ് subject. ഈ സെൻറ്റൻസ് എന്തിനെ കുറിച്ചാണ് പറയുന്നത്? It is giving us some information about the mountain ranges. So that entire part, the subject need not always be just one word. It can be many words put together. Noun phrase എന്ന് നമുക്ക് പറയാം. So these mountain ranges, that is the subject. And what comes after that would be the predicate, are the largest in the world. Now, in the predicate, the most important word is the verb. The cat is on the mat എന്ന് പറയുന്ന സമയത്ത് is the verb in that sentence, and that is the most important word in the predicate, as are is in the next sentence. Now, you will be learning all these, subject, verb, and all the different kinds of subjects, all the different kinds of verbs, and so on in your. I'm sorry. I hope it's not one of you trying to call me. Or no? No. Okay. Right. So, birds fly in the sky. Many little birds are flying in the sky. All these indicate how the subject is what the sentence tells you about. Now, once we have learned that subject എന്താണ് നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലായി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ, we would be better able to understand this concept of concord, that of subject verb agreement. The basic rule in English. നമ്മളിപ്പം we don't follow a very prescriptive method of grammar. Grammar initially, traditionally was prescriptive. It always prescribed the rules. It told you what you should say. Now grammar is becoming more and more descriptive. It describes the way people speak. It describes the way people observe, converse. And based on that, we have certain lessons in grammar. So that is how it goes. The basic rule with regard to concord is that a singular subject should go with a singular verb, and a plural subject with a plural verb. I have given you some examples there. She likes mangoes. They like mangoes. Whereas when it comes to I, when I is the subject, it acts as a plural. അതിൻ്റെ റൂളാണ് അവിടെ വരുന്നത്. I like mangoes. You can't say I likes mangoes. I singular ആണെങ്കിൽ പോലും I like mangoes. So she likes, he likes, they like, I like. So this is the basic rule regarding subject verb agreement. Now either you can't just brush it aside at this level because there's so much more involved in it, as the remaining slides will tell you. ഞാൻ ഒരു 10 situations പറഞ്ഞു തരാം in which we would be looking at the ways in which subject verb agreement or concord may be discussed. Look at this slide now. When you have a noun phrase as the subject, the subject need not always be just one word. I saw a cat, that is only one word. She saw an elephant, she is one word. But you may say, the girl in the red dress saw an elephant. Appo subject endana? You need to ask the question who or what before the verb. Who saw an elephant? The girl in the red dress saw an elephant. So you have a whole group of words there, a phrase which occupies the position of the subject. So subject epporum single word avanam ennilla, it could be a group of words. And when we have this kind of singular word, single word in subject position il irikkunna samayathu, that rule we are now clear about, that it should take a singular verb, and plural anengil it should take a plural verb. Now what if you have a whole phrase as the subject? In such situations you need to look for the head word or the main word in the phrase. Ee sentence endine kurichano parayunnathu, that head word you need to find out. And the way to find out that head word is to look for the word before the preposition in that group of words. Like for example kanda ningalku manasillavum. A group of students, that is what that sentence tells you about. Students inde oru group ne kurichana ningalku paranju therunathu. Next sentence, a bunch of flowers. The sentence gives you information about a bunch of flowers. The house near the woods. In each one of these sentences you have a phrase as the subject. Now how do you find out what kind of verb should go with it? Verb singular ano plural ano ennariyanamengil you need to know the number in the subject. Number is singular or plural. Is it a singular noun or is it a plural noun? For that you can't go for the entire phrase. You need to find out the head word. And how do you find out the head word? Look for the word just before the preposition. In these instances, a group of students. Appo ivide the noun is not students, it is a group of students, and in that the head word is group. The sentence gives you information about a group, and group naturally is a, what is it? Is it a singular or a plural? It is a singular word because it is not groups, it is group. A group of students are waiting outside, therefore is wrong. Even though are stands next to students, the head word is group. So group aanu ee verb aayittu match cheyendathu. Therefore a group of students is waiting outside is the correct answer. Similarly, a bunch of flowers were given to the guest is wrong because the head word there is bunch. A bunch of flowers was given to the guest. Either past tense lana, so therefore a bunch of flowers was given to the guest. Next one, the house near the woods are being painted is wrong because woods ne kurichalla idu parayunnathu, the house ne kurichana parayunnathu. So the house is being painted. The house near the woods is being painted. So look for the head word in each one of these. Group of students ennu parayumba of is the preposition. The word before that preposition is the head word. A group of students. A bunch of flowers. The house near the woods. Near is the preposition. Adinte munnil ullada house. So that is the head word. Okay. So this is one of the situations. Next situation. Now, this involves the use of structures like either or, neither nor, and also or. Now, neither nor enna parayumbol naturally we know that at least two things will be involved there. But if those two entities are singular, then the verb should be in the singular. Look at these examples. My aunt or my uncle is arriving today. You can't say my aunt or my uncle are arriving today, because or enna structure varuna samayatha, if you have singular subjects on either side of that or, you need to go for a singular verb. So, my aunt or my uncle is arriving today. Neither the coach nor the player is here. ഇവിടെ രണ്ടും singular. Coach is singular, player is also singular. Who is not here? Neither the coach nor the player. അത് രണ്ടും subject ആണ്, but each one is singular. Coach, player. So, neither the coach nor the player is here. Either Sita or her sister is the singer of this song. Sita or her sister. Random singular aana. So, in these structures, like the ones that use or, the ones that use either or, and the ones that use neither nor, if the two entities that are involved in that structure are singular, then you need to use the singular verb. Now, either plural anengil, of course, the rule will change. Neither the coaches nor the players were there. That goes without saying. But ivide singular aanu, adukondana. Both are singular. So, that is another convention of grammar. A third one. Now, this is called the rule of proximity. Now, what is proximity? Proximity refers to the situation of being near something. Now, idhe madri, in these sentences that have the structure either or, neither nor, and or, if one of the entities is singular and the other is plural, then the verb should agree with the subject nearest to it. Proximity, adinadutha edano nikkunnathu, it should agree with that. If that is singular, the verb will be singular. If that is plural, the verb will be plural. Look at the examples. Neither the books nor the bag is to be kept on the table. In neither nor sentence, two things are involved. Books umunda, bag umunda. Books is plural, bag is singular. Now, what is the verb is? Is inde adutha edana? It is bag. Bag is singular, therefore it is to be kept on the table. You can't say neither the books nor the bag are to be kept on the table is wrong. Angane ശരിയാവണമെങ്കിൽ it will be like this. Neither the bag nor the books are to be kept on the table. ഇവിടെ verbന്റെ അടുത്ത് books plural ആണ് വരുന്നത്. Therefore, it becomes are. Neither the bag nor the books are to be kept on the table. So, this is called the rule of proximity. Now, this is a rather clumsy kind of construction. Sometimes when you observe a rule of proximity so much that you think that you can write a sentence like this. I'll read the sentence. Neither she, my friends, nor I am going out now. Am in the varunathu, you think that I is the word that stands next to the verb. Therefore, adinte agreement ulla verb, I am. But it looks like a very, very clumsy sentence. It sounds very odd. Neither she, my friends, nor I am going out now. Grammatically, it is right, but that is, it does not sound good. And for, better ways of saying it would be, neither she, I, nor my friends are going out now. Appo adu sheriya. Neither she, I, nor my friends. Friends is in agreement with are, the verb are. So, that is okay. Or you may rewrite it like this. She, my friends, and I are not going out now. I think that would be the simplest way of rewriting it. In any case, rule of proximity applies to structures like either or, neither nor, and or, where the verb should agree with the subject that is closest to it, which is in proximity to it. അതിൻ്റെ ഏറ്റവും അടുത്ത് നിൽക്കുന്നത്. Now, next one. Yeah, sometimes in the subject position, you will have many words. നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ noun phrase നെ പോലെ തന്നെ, but it may be in parenthesis, sometimes in brackets, sometimes differentiated with a hyphen അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു dash തന്നിട്ട് John dash and his pet dog dash. That is what is known as parenthesis. You know, you will be studying all this in different parts, different sections of your grammar syllabus. Parenthesis, നിങ്ങൾക്ക് clear ആവും. You know what is included along with something by way of explanation, by way of additional information, etc. But it is not strictly part of that sentence. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് when you say John and his pet dog is in parenthesis. Strictly, it is not to be read as part of that sentence. That is why John ന്റെ കൂടെ വരുന്ന verb should be a singular verb. John is always welcome here. John, comma, and his pet dog, comma, is always welcome here. John dash and his pet dog dash is always welcome here. John bracket and his pet dog bracket close is always welcome here. So that is what is known as parenthesis. ഈ parenthesis പോലെ തന്നെയാണ് when you have structures like as well as, along with, besides, etc. Such words are also not considered as part of the subject. So you may have a sentence like this: the captain along with the crew, or the captain along with the players is expected shortly. Along with the players, നിങ്ങൾ വിചാരിക്കും അവിടെ proximity-യുടെ കാര്യം വരുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ. No. What you have to look for is along with. Proximity-യുടെ വരുന്നത്, it is in neither nor constructions as we explained earlier. But in such sentences where you have the structure along with, as well as, besides, etc., we need to look for the main subject and what the number of that subject is. Is it singular or is it plural? So the captain along with the crew or along with the players is expected shortly. അതായത് it should ideally be like this: the captain is expected shortly. അതാണ് connection. What is given in the part along with that structure along with is additional information. So the captain along with the crew is expected shortly. In another situation, this would be, you know, എല്ലാ സെൻറ്റൻസും SVO, subject verb object എന്നുള്ള ആ സ്ട്രിക്റ്റ് ഇതിലാവില്ലല്ലോ. That is only the basic structure of a sentence. Now you may have certain sentences which begin with here, there, etc. You know, there are many students in this class. Here is a balloon for you to play with, etc. You know, such sentences. അവിടെ ആണെങ്കിലും, even if they begin with here or there will always be a subject in that sentence. So look for the subject and see if the verb is in agreement with it. So there are 4 weeks remaining in this year. What is remaining in this year? 4 weeks. 4 weeks. Weeks are remaining. So weeks is the subject and therefore it should agree with the verb. It can't be there is 4 weeks remaining in the year is wrong. There are 4 weeks remaining in this year. You just try to rewrite it. 4 weeks are remaining in this year. അങ്ങനെയാണ് അത് ideally വരുന്നത്, but it has been written in this way. Anyway, the subject should agree with the verb. So there are 4 weeks remaining in this year. There is a week to go for the start of the vacation. What is there to go for the start of the vacation? A week. So a week is the subject. Week singular ആയ കാരണം it should be is. So there is a week to go for the start of the vacation. That is one more situation. Now look at this situation. Sorry. When you have, periods of time, periods, distance and things like that indicated as part of the subject. You know, a noun phrase, subject ila varunada, it's something like this: 2 days is a long time to wait for something exciting. We are using the phrase 2 days. Now, that is being considered here as a single unit. 2 days is a long time to wait for something exciting. അവിടെ നമ്മൾ 2 ദിവസമായിട്ടല്ല കാണുന്നത്. You are looking at it as something that is, it's a long time to wait for something exciting. That time, that it is a singular thing there. That is why it takes the verb is. You can't say 2 days are a long time. Are a long time is wrong. So 2 days is a long time to wait for something exciting. Time ennulladana. The 2 days is related to the word time. So it is a singular. It is treated as one. Just like 5 years is the maximum leave you can avail. A leave aanu avide. That is singular. So 5 years is considered as one unit. It relates to that word leave. 5 years is the maximum leave you can avail. Just like in the next one, you're talking about the price. No, that sentence is about the price of the pen. 5 rupees is a decent price for this pen. Price is singular, therefore 5 rupees is to be treated as a singular unit, and that is why it takes is. So 5 rupees is a decent price. 2 days is a long time. 5 years is the maximum you can take, etc. ഇതിന് ഒരു എക്സെപ്ഷൻ മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ. When you're referring to currency notes, for example, 5 rupees are scattered on the floor. 5 currency notes, 5 rupee notes are scattered on the floor. That would be okay. There you're not talking about a single unit. In these situations, in such constructions, you're looking at it as a singular thing. The maximum leave, long time, decent price. അതിനുള്ള explanation ആണ് 2 days, 5 years and 5 rupees. Now, don't be disheartened by all these rules. These are just situations that you will be coming across, and the more you are familiar with, these sentences, the better you will be able to use them without mistakes. Just familiarizing you with all the different situations in which we may encounter subject-verb agreement or problems related to subject-verb agreement. Okay, another situation. Now, with words that indicate portions, like for example, you have words like a lot of, some, all of this, etc. What do you have to look for? You need to look for the noun after of. Okay, a lot of what? Some of what? All of what? The majority of what? Of കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ള noun എന്താണോ? If it is singular, then go for a singular verb. If it is a plural, then go for a plural verb. Like, a lot of the work is completed. A lot of structure vannu. Of കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് എന്താണ്? The work, which is singular, which is why the verb is completed. On the other hand, of കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് you may have a plural. For example, a lot of her works. അവിടെ you can't say has been displayed. A lot of her works has been displayed is wrong because works is plural. Therefore, a lot of works have been displayed there. A third of the population is unemployed. Population is considered as a single thing. What is the population of the country? You don't ask what are the population of the country. What is population or a singular item considered ചെയ്യുന്നത്. So a third of the population is unemployed. But if it is people, a third of the people are unemployed. People is plural. So a third of the people are unemployed. Similarly, some of the water is in the singular, it's singular. So some of the water in the river is being diverted there. What is being diverted? Water is being diverted. Some of the water ആയിരിക്കും, പക്ഷേ basically it is some of the water. അതുകൊണ്ട് that is being considered as singular. Some of the water is being diverted there. Or on the other hand, of കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് plural ആണെങ്കിൽ some of the rivers are being cleaned up. Some of the rivers are being cleaned up. So rivers is plural and therefore the verb should be are. Last but one, ഇനി ഒന്നും കൂടെ ഉള്ളൂ. With collective nouns like group, jury, audience, family, etc., is it a singular? നമ്മൾ നേരത്തെ population പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ population is always considered a single unit. Now what about family? What about jury? What about audience? The audience is happy or the audience are happy. എന്താണ്? Technically both are acceptable. Traditionally I think it had to be considered as singular. These days both are acceptable, but you may change the verb according to the idea that you want to convey, depending on the writer's or the speaker's intent. നിങ്ങൾ എന്താണോ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്? If you want to convey the sense of, something that happens as a single act, ഇവർ ചെയ്യുന്ന കാര്യം, it is a united single act, then you can use it as a singular and the verb should be a singular one. On the other hand, if it is a fragmented unit, if there are many things happening, or if the members of that group take different decisions, naturally you cannot think of it as a single one and therefore you may use the plural there. Anganeyana, you may say the jury is united in its verdict. Avarellarum oru തീരുമാനം എടുത്തു. Therefore there is no, you can say the jury is united in its verdict. But if the jury members have different opinions, then you may either say the members of the jury were divided in their opinions. Traditionally, adana correct sentence. The members of the jury were divided in their opinions. It is technically perfect, but these days it is also okay to say the jury were divided in their opinions, because you're considering it as plural, or as a group that is doing things separately, differently, not in the same manner, or they don't stand on the same ground. So the jury were divided in their opinion. So depending on what you want to convey, is it a singular notion that you want to convey or a fragmented notion, you may change the verb. And the last of the situations involves the subjunctive mode. What is the subjunctive mode? In a sentence, when you want to talk about something that you wished were happening, something that is hypothetical or imaginary situation, something that is not really true or factually allatha oru karyam, imaginary, wishful, hypothetical, and things like that, then even if the number, the subject is singular, actually we use the plural of the verb. Subjunctive mode inde oru pratyekadayanu. Therefore, I don't say if James Bond was here, things would be different. Grammatically that is correct, but subjunctive mode convey cheyna samayatha we use the plural verb. If James Bond were here, things would be different. I wish it were Friday soon. I don't say I wish it was Friday. Adalla sheri. I wish it were Friday soon. That is how, these are called helping verbs, helping words that create a particular mood. Subjunctive mood convey cheyanayittu you need to use the plural form of the verbs. I wish it were Friday soon. She requested that he raise his hand. He raise his hand. That he raises his hand alla, he raise his hand. Okay, so these are the different situations in which we come across subject-verb agreement. I'll be giving this to you. You may go back to these and, it's not possible for anybody to study each one of these. But once you become aware of it, it would be easier for you to apply these when you speak and when you communicate. It's just basically to make you conscious of all the different situations in which subject-verb agreement matters. So, ഇത്രയും നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞത് ആദ്യത്തെ സെൻറ്റൻസിനെ കുറിച്ചാണ്. The second question, second and third one, I'll pass through it quickly because the second question was about a question, an interrogative sentence. And you have in your grammar whole sections dealing with the different kinds of sentences. Avade you will be learning more about interrogative sentences, as you will be learning about emphatic and exclamatory sentences and declarative sentences and so on. Adukonda you will understand it better. But basically, when you frame a sentence, an interrogative sentence in English, you need to be familiar with the structure. അതായത് the helping verb, the auxiliary verb always comes before the subject. Subject alla ആദ്യം വരേണ്ടത്. So when you get a sentence like this, when you are going home, you know the when is the question word, of course. You is the subject. The question asks a question about, the sentence asks a question about this you. When you are going home, are is the verb, the helping verb. And if it is a question, you cannot write or put the sentence, the subject, before the helping verb are. So when are you going home? That is the structure of a correct interrogative sentence. So in this sentence, what is violated is the structure of an interrogative sentence. നിങ്ങളത് a problem identify ചെയ്തു, then you can rewrite it with your knowledge about the structure of interrogative sentences. In an interrogative sentence, the auxiliary verb should come before the subject. Therefore, you rewrite it as when are you going home? In the next slide, I have put the table which will help you to understand the structure of an interrogative sentence. The basic structure of a question in English is auxiliary verb, subject, main verb. So, do you like Mary? Are they playing football? When are you going home? So, subject, you, Mary, Anthony, she, he. Adinte munne, the auxiliary verb should come before that. So, you should not say, will Anthony will go to Tokyo ennu parnal. It is a statement actually, and it is only with rising intonation that you can make it a question. Pakshe, in a traditionally constructed sentence, interrogative sentence, the structure should involve the auxiliary verb coming before the subject. Auxiliary verb, subject, and then main verb. അതായിരിക്കണം ഒരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ്റെ structure. As I told you, you will be learning more about interrogative sentences in earlier parts of the syllabus. So probably you have already done it, and therefore you should be familiar with the different kinds of interrogative sentences undallo. So naturally you may make use of that knowledge also to frame sentences grammatically. And the last in this section, I'll stop with this sentence. The third sentence I gave you was, I prefer coffee than tea. Ivide, it's a very commonly made error. We often use than after prefer, which is wrong. The correct usage is to. I prefer coffee to tea. What is the rule violated? It is the usage of the verb prefer. And you have to say, we don't use than after prefer. So you rewrite it as, I prefer coffee to tea. And a few situations in which we prefer in the word in the usage. That's a very commonly used word, and there are many situations in which you use it. എല്ലാത്തിലും ഇങ്ങനെ I prefer coffee to tea മാതിരി ആയിരിക്കില്ല. It may be something else. You may not even be talking about two things. I prefer driving എന്ന് പറയുന്ന സമയത്ത് you're not bringing in walking അല്ലെങ്കിൽ riding അവിടെ. Look at some of those situations. So we use prefer to say that we like one thing or something more than another. I prefer coffee to tea. This is the basic thing. I prefer coffee than tea is wrong. I prefer coffee to tea, or I prefer tea to coffee. Then this one, we prefer going by ferry to flying. Flying nekattum prefer cheyyunnathu ferry. So the sentence is constructed like this. We prefer going by ferry to flying. Look at the next sentence. She prefers books than magazines is wrong. She prefers books to magazines. So prefer should be followed by to. Now, കുറച്ചും കൂടെ advanced usage of prefer. Now, ഈ prefer കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് a very commonly made error is to avoid that to. I prefer to drive. I prefer to walk. I prefer walk എന്ന് തെറ്റാണ്. I prefer walking is okay, but if it is to plus verb form ആണെങ്കിൽ, which is known as the to infinitive, please do not avoid that to. I prefer drive is wrong. I prefer driving is okay, or I prefer to drive. Then when you make comparisons, use to rather than than. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ than, if you are so keen on using than, make sure you add a rather, then it becomes correct. For example, a lot of young people prefer computer games than football. അവിടെ it is wrong. We have used than along with prefer. So it should be rewritten as a lot of young people prefer computer games to football. Prefer computer games to football. Or another way of rewriting that would be a lot of young people prefer computer games rather than football. So rather vannal than is okay. So these are two different forms of using the word prefer in sentences. I prefer something to something else. I prefer this rather than something else. Verum than ഉപയോഗിക്കാൻ പാടില്ല. So we use prefer or I would prefer followed by a to infinitive or noun to talk about the present and the future. I would prefer to go by myself. Would you prefer a quieter restaurant? These are just different situations in which prefer is used. When we want to say that we would like to do one thing more than another, we can introduce the second thing with rather than. ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യമാണ്, followed by an infinitive without to. I'd prefer to go skiing this year rather than go on a beach holiday. Rather than to go, venda. I prefer to go skiing. But when you use rather than, avoid that to. I prefer to go skiing this year rather than go on a beach holiday. That is right. It would be wrong if I said, I'd prefer to go skiing this year than go on a beach holiday. Adu തെറ്റാണ്. Rather than ആവുന്ന സമയത്ത് and you use it as go only. Rather than going is wrong. I would prefer to go skiing this year rather than go on a beach holiday. And then when we talk about our preferences for the actions of another person, when I prefer you did this, etc. അങ്ങനെ പറയുന്ന സമയത്ത് would prefer plus you, object pronoun plus to infinitive, or it goes like this. They'd prefer us to come later. Prefer കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് object pronoun us വന്നു, then the to infinitive to come, and then complete the sentence. Or they'd prefer it if we came later. It is the object pronoun, and then if plus the past simple. You know that just keep this in mind when you use prefer. Prefer in the commonest error that people make is by using than instead of to. Adu parna samayatha I thought I could just bring in some more references to the usage of prefer. Just go through this at your leisure and try to frame sentences for yourself using these three structures. So today we have learned about three different usage patterns in English. One is about subject-verb agreement, the different situations in which the subject and the verb should be made to agree with each other. We looked at 10 different contexts. There may be more, but for our purpose right now, I think we can stop at those 10 situations involving the rules of Concord. Then we discussed the use of or the structure of an interrogative sentence, how the auxiliary verb should always come before the subject in the question. And thirdly, we looked at the usage of the word or the verb prefer. Prefer is followed by to and not than. So these are the topics that I think we can take home today. Please go through these slides and try to frame sentences using these structures, and you will be able to acquire a better hold on these structures. That is the way you do it. Write sentences, speak sentences, look for such sentences in newspapers, in books, and so on.